Good afternoon, everyone. In the last session, we were discussing about different programs of Government of India with respect to nutrition and health. And we were discussing about the National Nutritional Anemia Control Program in India. We know that anemia, andre raktahinate, it is a serious public health challenge in a country like India, where we have more than 50% prevalence among the vulnerable groups who are or who come under these vulnerable groups where anemia is prevalent. Number 1, pregnant women. Number 2, infants. Number 3, young children. And number 4, adolescents. So all these four groups are vulnerable for anemia, where we see more than 50% prevalence among these groups. Now this anemia control program, this program was implemented through the primary health centers and its sub centers. So what is the aim? What was the aim that this program had? The aim of the anemia control program was to decrease the prevalence and incidence of anemia in women of reproductive age, more specifically reproductive age. That means women in reproductive age, ಅಂದರೆ ಸಂತಾನೋತ್ಪತ್ತಿ ವಯಸ್ಸಿನ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರಲ್ಲಿ ರಕ್ತಹೀನತೆಯನ್ನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. So the program, that is anemia control program, was implemented through primary health centers and its sub centers, and the aim was to decrease the prevalence and the incidence of anemia in women of reproductive age. Now what is the intervention or the dose for the anemia control? That is iron folic acid supplementation, which is a component of anemia control program. So this table gives you an idea about different age group and the intervention and how the intervention should be andre regime. 0 to 60 months, 1 ml of IFA syrup. IFA stands for iron folic acid. Iron mattu folic acid. These are the nutrients. And for 0 to 60 months, 1 ml of IFA syrup. 1 ml nalli 20 milligram of elemental iron and 100 microgram of folic acid ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು. Right? So 1 ml of syrup ಎಷ್ಟು ದಿವಸ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು? Bi-weekly. Right? So bi-weekly continuous ಆಗಿ up to the age of 60 months. Right? And also deworming for the children 12 months and above. ಇದು ಎರಡೂ ಬಹಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. So regime ಹೇಗಿದೆ? 6 to 60 months, that is 1 ml of IFA syrup. IFA syrup ನಲ್ಲಿ 20 milligram iron ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು ಮತ್ತು 100 microgram folic acid ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು. ಇದು bi-weekly up to the period of 60 months. Next 5 to 10 years age group ನವರಿಗೆ tablets of 45 milligram of iron and 400 microgram of folic acid. ಇದು weekly up to the age of 10 years. ಇಷ್ಟು ಕೊಡಲೇಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತು ಇಷ್ಟು ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಸಹ ಇದೆ. So there is a guidelines according which the supplementation is given, that is IFA supplementation. So 5 to 10 years in the form of tablets, 45 milligram of iron and 400 microgram of folic acid, and the regime is, it is given weekly up to the age of 10 years. And deworming ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹುಳ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಹುಳಗಳನ್ನು ತೆಗೆಯುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಡಿವರ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ಇದು ಬೈ ಆನ್ಯುವಲ್, ರೈಟ್. 60 ಮಂತ್ಸ್ ತನಕ ಅಬೌಟ್ 12 ಮಂತ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರತಿ ವರ್ಷ ಕೊಡುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಮತ್ತೆ 5 to 10 ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ಬೈ ಆನ್ಯುವಲ್ ಕೊಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಡಿವರ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ಲೆಟ್ಸ್, ರೈಟ್. ಸೊ 6 to 60 ಮಂತ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ 5 to 10 ಇಯರ್ಸ್. Now moving further, it is from 10 to 19 years. 10 to 19 years ಗೆ 100 milligram of iron and 500 microgram of folic acid. Regime ಹೇಗೆ? Weekly throughout the period of 10 to 19 years of age and biannual deworming. Right? So 10 to 19 years, ನಾವೇನು adolescent age ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಲ್ಲ, vulnerable group. So this group receives 100 milligram of elemental iron and 500 microgram of folic acid, and the regime is weekly up to the age of 19 years with biannual deworming prescription. Right? And next is pregnant and lactating women. So for this group, 100 milligram of elemental iron and 500 microgram of folic acid. That means regime is one tablet daily for 100 days. So if you observe any pregnant or lactating women in and around you, or maybe at your home, they will be consuming daily one tablet for 100 days starting from the first trimester, right, at 14 to 16 weeks of gestation, and to be repeated for 100 days. So you can observe this. So it contains 100 milligram of elemental iron and 500 microgram of folic acid. Now the next vulnerable group is women in reproductive age, that is WRA group, women in reproductive age. 100 milligram of elemental iron and 500 microgram of folic acid. So the regime is weekly throughout the reproductive period. So I have given an information about iron folic acid supplementation to combat the anemia, that is to control the anemia. So 5 different vulnerable groups ಅಥವಾ age groups. Number 1, 6 to 60 months. Number 2, 5 to 10 years. Number 3, 10 to 19 years. Number 4, pregnant and lactating women. Number 5, women in reproductive age. So ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಗ್ರೂಪಿಗೂ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಐರನ್ ಮತ್ತು ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಫೋಲಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತು ಕೊಡುವ ವಿಧಾನ ಹೇಗೆ, ವಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಒಮ್ಮೆಯ ಅಥವಾ ವಾರಕ್ಕೆ 2 ಬಾರಿಯ ಅಥವಾ 2 ವಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಒಮ್ಮೆನ, ಹೀಗೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಈ ಟೇಬಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಕ್ಷಿಪ್ತವಾಗಿ ತೋರಿಸಲಾಗಿದೆ. Right? So moving on to the important concept of anemia control program is drinking tea is discouraged for the reason that it may inhibit the absorption of iron in the stomach. So if any of the person within this vulnerable group is suffering from anemia, drinking tea is discouraged for the reason that it may inhibit the absorption of iron in the stomach. Is that clear? So this is very very important. So ಟೀ ಕುಡಿಯುವುದನ್ನು ಅವರು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕೆಂತ ಅಂದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಹದೊಳಗಡೆ ಐರನ್ ಅಂಶ ಸೇರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಟೀ ಕುಡಿಯೋದು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದರೆ. ಸೊ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡಿಸ್ಕರೇಜ್ ಡ್ರಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಟೀ ಫಾರ್ ದೀಸ್ ವಲ್ನರಬಲ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ we have the vitamin A program, that is National Vitamin A Prophylaxis Program, ಅಂದರೆ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ವೈಟಮಿನ್ ಎ ರೋಗ ನಿರೋಧಕ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ. So what happens in this program? What are the conditions or terms or objectives or goals of this program? Vitamin A is an important micronutrient. ಅದೊಂದು ಸೂಕ್ಷ್ಮ ಪೋಷಕಾಂಶ. Why it is required? ಯಾಕೆ ಬೇಕು? For maintaining normal growth, right? Vitamin A is an important micronutrient for maintaining the normal growth. And most of the surveys have shown that the intake of vitamin A is very much low, that is significantly low than the recommended daily allowance, right? ಪ್ರತಿನಿತ್ಯ ಇಷ್ಟು ಮೈಕ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮೋ ಇಷ್ಟು ಮಿಲಿಗ್ರಾಮೋ ವೈಟಮಿನ್ ಎ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಹಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇರುತ್ತದೆ. ಅದ ಆ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಆ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ಗಿಂತ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ವೈಟಮಿನ್ ಎ ಅನ್ನು ಸೇವನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸರ್ವೇಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟೆಡ್ ದಿಸ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್ಸ್, ಅಡೋಲೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪ್ರೆಗ್ನೆಂಟ್ ವಿಮೆನ್. ಸೊ ಏನು ಒಂದು ರೆಕಮೆಂಡೆಡ್ ಡೈಲಿ ಅಲವೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಪ್ರತಿನಿತ್ಯ ಇಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇವನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ವೈಟಮಿನ್ ಎ ಅಂತ ಇದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಸೇವನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಮಕ್ಕಳಲ್ಲಿ, ಅಡೋಲೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರೆಗ್ನೆಂಟ್ ವಿಮೆನ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಲೀಡ್ಸ್ ಟು ಅಬ್ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್. ಯಾಕೆಂತಂದರೆ ವೈಟಮಿನ್ ಎ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮೇಂಟೈನಿಂಗ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್. ಇಫ್ it is less than the recommended daily allowance, then maintaining normal growth may not be possible. So ಹಾಗಾದರೆ what is the recommended daily allowance for vitamin A? Infants, that is 0 to 12 months, ಅಂದರೆ 1 ವರ್ಷ ವಯಸ್ಸಿನ ಮಕ್ಕಳಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟಿರಬೇಕು? 400 to 500 ಮೈಕ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್, ಇಷ್ಟು ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು. Children's 1 to 8 years, 300 to 400 micrograms. Adults ali male, that is up to age of 70 years, 600 to 900 micrograms. Next, females up to the age of 70 years, again 600 to 700 micrograms. Pregnancy, that is up to the age of 50 years, 750 to 770 micrograms, and during lactating period, that is during the process of lactation, 1200 to 1300 micrograms, right? So these are the recommended daily allowance for vitamin A consumption. So ಇಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು. ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆದರೆ ಯೂಶಲಿ ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತೇವೆ, ಯಾವ ವಲ್ನರಬಲ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತೇವೆ? ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್ಸ್, ಅಡೋಲೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪ್ರೆಗ್ನೆಂಟ್ ವಿಮೆನ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಆವಾಗ ಅಬ್ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಅನ್ನು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಸೊ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅಂದರೆ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಈ ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ವೈಟಮಿನ್ ಎ ಕನ್ಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಲೇಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ the important recommended daily allowance for vitamin A to maintain the normal growth, right? So the main objective of this vitamin A prophylaxis program is to decrease the prevalence of vitamin A deficiency. So vitamin A deficiencyಯನ್ನು ತಡೆಗಟ್ಟೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ಅದರ ಹರಡುವಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ತಡೆಗಟ್ಟೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇರುವಂಥ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ is vitamin A prophylaxis program, right? Next, in 1950s and also in 1960s, many of the states of India, they reported blindness, ದೃಷ್ಟಿಹೀನತೆ, due to vitamin A deficiency, so which was also a major cause of blindness in children below 5 years. So in 1970, the National Prophylaxis Program Against Nutritional Blindness, ಅಂದರೆ ಪೋಷಕಾಂಶಗಳ ಕೊರತೆಯಿಂದ ಉಂಟಾಗತಕ್ಕಂಥ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಹೀನತೆ, that was taken up as an agenda. So in 1970, the National Prophylaxis Program Against Nutritional Blindness was initiated completely under centrally sponsored, or it was initiated as a centrally sponsored scheme. So under this scheme, all the children between ages of 1 and 3 years, they were administered vitamin A orally once in 6 months. So ಪ್ರತಿ 6 ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೊಮ್ಮೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಬಾಯಿ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಕೊಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ವೈಟಮಿನ್ ಎ ಅನ್ನು ಅವರಿಗೆ ನೀಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಈ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ನ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಹೇಗೆ ಪಲ್ಸ್ ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಇದೆ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ವೈಟಮಿನ್ ಎ ಅನ್ನು ಕೊಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಪ್ರತಿ 6 ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೊಮ್ಮೆ. ಯಾರಿಗೆ? ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಅಂತ ಅಂದರೆ 1ರಿಂದ 3 ವರ್ಷ ವಯಸ್ಸಿನ ಮಕ್ಕಳಲ್ಲಿ. Right? So in 1970, the National Prophylaxis Program Against Nutritional Blindness, which was initiated as a centrally sponsored scheme, and all children under this scheme, all the children between the ages of 1 and 3 years, they were administered vitamin A orally once in 6 months. Right? And it was decided to link the vitamin A administration to the immunization program. ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಂತ ಅಂದರೆ ರೋಗ ನಿರೋಧಕ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳು ಅಂದರೆ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಶೆಡ್ಯೂಲ್ ಇದೆ. 1 ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, 3 ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, ಮತ್ತು 9 ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ, 5 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ, 10 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ, ಹೀಗೆ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಿಸ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಎಸ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಡಿಸೈಡೆಡ್ ಟು ಲಿಂಕ್ ವೈಟಮಿನ್ ಎ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ದ 8th 5-year plan period, and now it is also continuing, right? Next we have another important program to control the iodine deficiency. So ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಐಯೋಡಿನ್ ಕೊರತೆ ಅಸ್ವಸ್ಥತೆಗಳ ನಿಯಂತ್ರಣ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ, that is National Iodine Deficiency Disorder Control Program, NIDDCP. So what is the objective of this program? Iodine is an essential micronutrient. So it is also an essential micronutrient, and it is required, that means every day 100 to 150 micrograms, and most of the time we consume it in the form of iodized salt, right? So iodine, it is an essential micronutrient which is required at a concentration of 100 to 150 micrograms. So micrograms ಅಂತ ಅಂದರೆ 1 ಗ್ರಾಮನ ದಶಲಕ್ಷದ 1 ಭಾಗ, right? And this micronutrient, that is iodine, which is an essential micronutrient, is required for normal growth and development, similar to vitamin A. Now if there is deficiency, if there is a deficiency of iodine, it can cause physical and mental retardation, manda buddhi anta ಏನು ಕರಿತೀವಿ. So that is called as mental retardation. So if there is deficiency of iodine, it can cause physical as well as mental retardation, right? Now the iodine deficiency is more than 5% in almost 400 and plus, that is up to 420 districts in the entire country. So as of now we have about 739 districts, and you imagine 420, around 420 districts have the iodine deficiency level or prevalence of iodine deficiency which is above 5%. So it is almost more than 50% of the country's districts are having iodine deficiency which is above 5%. So it should be less than 5%. That is the objective of this program. So realizing the magnitude, so magnitude of the problem, it is more than 50% of the districts are suffering from iodine deficiency. So it is a serious issue. So realizing the magnitude of the problem, the government of India launched a 100% centrally sponsored program that is called as National Goiter Control Program in 1962, right? ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಗಂಟಲುವಾಳ ನಿಯಂತ್ರಣ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ, right? So because of the magnitude of the problem, where the iodine deficiency is more than 5%, and considering the magnitude of this problem, the government of India launched National Goiter Control Program, NGCP, that is called as ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಗಂಟಲುವಾಳ ನಿಯಂತ್ರಣ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ, just to combat the iodine deficiency. So in 1992, that is August 1992, the National Goiter Control Program, that was renamed as National Iodine Deficiency Disorders Control Program. So NGCP ಅದು ಮರುನಾಮಕರಣಗೊಂಡು NIDDCP ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಐರೋಡಿನ್ ಡೆಫಿಷಿಯನ್ಸಿ ಡಿಸಾರ್ಡರ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್, ರೈಟ್? Now the goal is to bring the prevalence of iodine deficiency disorder to below 5% in the country. So what happens if there is iodine deficiency? If you just go back to the previous slide, if you carefully observe, so there is swelling of the swelling in the region, that is in the neck region, throat region ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ swelling ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So that is called as goiter. So goiter is a condition, is a clinical condition where you see the swelling of the throat region. So you can easily make out in this picture. So that is you call it as Gantalu Vada. So if there is iodine deficiency, it's a serious issue, right? So to bring the prevalence of iodine deficiency disorder to below 5% in the country, and to ensure that 100% consumption of adequately iodized salt, that is 15 ppm anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, that is equivalent to 15 milligram per liter at the household level, that is at the domestic level. So the goal is to reduce or bring the prevalence of iodine deficiency disorder to below 5%, and to ensure that 15 milligram per liter, that is 15 ppm of iodine in the form of iodized salt is consumed at the household level. So this is an important concept of the National Nutrition Policy Program. So we have seen in detail about various national nutrition policy or the programs which aim at controlling several diseases or disorders, and Government of India is taking so much of or it is pressurizing so many departments within the government to reach the target set by the government. So most of the programs are on the verge of success, and some of the programs it does take so many years, and we hope everything will be positive from human health perspective. And now in unit 4, we'll just move on to the next unit. We have a concepts about social health problems, and more specifically we will be trying to understand about the AIDS, that is HIV or AIDS, which includes AIDS control program, one of the important program of the government. And next we have smoking, which is a serious social health issue, and much more serious is alcoholism. So we have kept these three social health problems in the syllabus so that awareness is created, and the awareness is about the negative effects of these health problems, and how to overcome these problems, and what are the initiatives by the government of India to overcome the social health problems, more specifically the AIDS, smoking, and alcoholism. So we'll try to understand each one of them from health and nutrition perspective. So what is social health? How do you understand about social health? Social health is more than just the prevention of mental illness and social problems. So it is something beyond prevention of mental illness and social problems. So basically social health anta andre being, that means increased degree of happiness. So a person is feeling happiness within himself or herself, that is related to social health. So it is a sense of belonging and concern for others. So being socially healthy, that means increased degree of happiness refers to social health, right? So under social health, as I said, we'll start off our discussion with the National AIDS Control Program 4, the level 4. So now we are in the stage 4, right? National AIDS Control Program has 4 stages. We have crossed 3 stages, and now we are in the stage of we are in the 4th stage. So I'll tell you what happened in stage 1, 2, 3, and what is happening in stage 4. ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಏಡ್ಸ್ ನಿಯಂತ್ರಣ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ 4ನೇ ಘಟಕ. right? Now, National AIDS Control Program, that is NACP, it was launched in 1992, and it is being implemented as a comprehensive program. ಒಂದು ಸಮಗ್ರ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವಾಗಿ ಜಾರಿಗೆ ತರಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಯಾವುದು? ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಏಡ್ಸ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಅಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್? ಟು ಪ್ರಿವೆಂಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ HIV or AIDS in India. Right? It was launched in 1992, and the objective was to prevent and control the HIV and AIDS in India. And what is happening in the phase 1, that is National AIDS Control Program 1? This was implemented with an objective of slowing down the spread of HIV infection. So HIV infection ಅನ್ನ ನಿಧಾನವಾಗಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಹರಡುವಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನ ಒದಗಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದು, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಟು ಸ್ಲೋ ಡೌನ್ ದ ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ HIV infection. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಕಾನ್ಸಿಕ್ವೆನ್ಸ್, ಔಟ್ಕಮ್ ಏನು ಅದರಿಂದ? ಸೊ ಆಸ್ ಟು ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾರ್ಬಿಡಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ಅಂದರೆ ಅಸ್ವಸ್ಥತೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಟಾಲಿಟಿ, ಮರಣ ಪ್ರಮಾಣ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಏಡ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ. ಸೊ NACP 1 was implemented with an objective of slowing down the spread of HIV infection so as to reduce morbidity, mortality, and impact of AIDS in the country. So this is about NACP 1. Now this NACP 1 was followed by NACP 2. In November 1999, the second National AIDS Control Project NACP 2 was launched. Now the objective of this NACP 2 is to again reduce the spread of HIV infection in India and to increase India's capacity to respond to the HIV or AIDS on a long-term basis, right? So to handle the cases of HIV or AIDS, to provide the healthcare system for HIV patients or AIDS patients on a long-term basis, right? So to increase India's capacity, that means India's capacity in terms of providing healthcare, in terms of providing a facility for treating the HIV or AIDS patient, right, on a long term basis. So to increase the capacity to handle such situations on a long term basis, and also to reduce the spread of HIV infection in India. So these are the two important key objectives of the NACP 2 program, that is second National AIDS Control Project. ಒಂದು ಹರಡುವಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ತಡೆಯುವಂಥದ್ದು ಮತ್ತು HIV ಅಥವಾ ಏಡ್ಸ್ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಅವರ ಆರೈಕೆಯ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ನಾವು ತಯಾರಿ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಅಂದರೆ ದೇಶವನ್ನು ತಯಾರಿ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ಸ್ನ ತಯಾರಿ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ, ಯಾವ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕಾಗಿ? ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಟರ್ಮ್, ರೈಟ್? ಏಡ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ HIV infection is not a short term problem, it is a long term problem. So facilities should be there to undertake the interventions on a long term basis, right? So this was the two key important objectives of NACP 2. Now in the third phase, that is the third phase of national program, that is NACP 3, it was launched in July 2007. So with the goal of halting and reversing the epidemic by the end of the project. So complete stop ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇದರ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಇತ್ತು NACP 3. And now we are in the phase 4, that is National AIDS Control Program phase 4. ನಾಲ್ಕನೇ ಘಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ ನಾವು. What is the objective? Now the objective in phase 4 is shifted from raising awareness to behavioral change. ವರ್ತನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಯನ್ನು ತರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಆಯಿತು, 1 2 3, awareness is over now. Now we are not only concentrating on awareness, we are concentrating on inducing a behavioral change, right? So there is a shift from raising awareness to behavioral change, from a national response to more decentralized response, and most important is involvement of NGOs. That is, ಅಂದರೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರೇತರ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳ ಸಹಾಯದಿಂದ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಇಂದ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರಲ್ ಚೇಂಜ್, ವರ್ತನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ತರುವಂತ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವಾಗಿ NACP 4ನೇ ಘಟಕ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಶಿಫ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ದ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ to behavioral change by the involvement of NGOs, that is non-governmental organization, right? So this is about the National AIDS Control Program, and I'll stop my discussion over here. We can continue our discussion in the next session, that is about two more important social health problems, that is alcoholism and the smoking. So I'll take your leave. Thank you very much.